also, I'm going to have some hello, everybody. I know we're not live on all the channels yet, but for those of you we are on live, I do want to say hello. We are going to be broadcasting with a very, very special guest today. I'm JJ Conway, and I'm excited that you're going to be here. Now, I want to make sure that any friend of Mr. Edwards that might be watching takes this opportunity before we start digging into the meat to forward this broadcast to all the channels related to Mr. Candidate Sherman Edwards. I'm so excited to have you here today. Thank you for coming in, and thank you for being my very first in-studio guest in my new office in downtown Stephenville. Y'all, I'm so excited. As you can hear, the sound quality needs a little bit of work, but that's because half of my gear is in the boxes in the corner. But I did not want to pass up this opportunity to talk with somebody who really cares about this community. So, Mr. Edwards, would you please tell everybody a little bit about yourself and why you're running for office?
Well, I'm Sherman Edwards. I'm a fourth generation here in Stephenville in Erath County. I've lived here my whole entire life. I raised my family here. Just enjoy Stephenville. I'm just a country boy. I love the country. I love being outdoors. I just couldn't work on the inside job for any reason. I just had to be outdoors. I chose this line of work and chose to run for the office of Precinct 3 and County Commissioner because I was working at the county, but my past experience from working for Erath County TxDOT here for all them years, and I worked for them for 27 and a half years, but the first 15 of it, I worked, and then I quit, and I left my time with the state and went to work for myself. Ran my own small business, and it was just enough to. I didn't want to get rich. I never had any intentions of getting rich and making a lot of money. I wanted to provide for my family, be able to pay my kids through college, and enjoy life. And that's exactly what I did. And then I came back to the state 15 years later, and then went ahead and worked and retired. And actually went to work for the county then, just because I can't sit still. Really, I like work, and I probably, if I had a hobby more than that, it'd be work. It'd be work related. So I have no reason not to apply because of my past experiences being an inspector for TxDOT, building roads and maintaining them, understanding cause and effect of problems that arise from roads, and go, well, I know what caused that because I've seen it before. And my experience level is what brought me to this place. And I think I don't want to be too. I think God led me to this place, and I had no need. I had no idea I was going to go back to work for the county because I had already intended to, when I retired from the state, just open my business back up and go back to work. And just so happened I had a good friend of mine that worked at the county, and he encouraged me to come to work for the county. And I told him, no, man, I don't want to. I'm going to run my own business. I'm going to do my own thing. And he says, come to work and try it. Just try it. And so I've been there a couple of years now, a year and a half. And when the opportunity came up with my current county commissioner was retiring and not going to run again, I thought, well, shoot, this may be the reason I'm here. I think my knowledge level and my experience working on these projects kind of suits me to be a commissioner, understanding how budgets work and how finance road and how to spend the money in the right places.
Oh, I think that's so important. One thing I want to do before we continue is I'm going to ask, we have an in-studio guest today, and I'm going to ask her to pull up her recordings and make sure people can hear us, because by now I would have some more feedback going on the and I want to make sure if you can hear me, give me a like or a love or something, because I am a little concerned with with us being in the office. I want to make sure before we get the rest of his answers that everybody can hear just fine. So if we can do that, or actually if we'll just give us, if you're online, I know it's not good to have dead air, but just give us a little pause real quick, and let's just make sure everybody can hear us, okay? It sounds like they can. Oh, people are online. Okay, they're online. It's just not reflecting here. That makes me feel better, y'all. All right. So we're going to continue our discussion, because I just wanted to make sure, because when you talk about understanding how the budgets work, how the construction process work, and the different interactions, that's important to me, because I find a lot of times people want to run for office to do this or to do that, but they don't understand all the intricacies
Yes.
and they don't understand how all the different parts go together. And it's easy to make promises like, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. Or the one okay, he doesn't know this yet.
Okay.
I'm the one who's always calling up saying, hey, when y'all going to build a loop around the loop? And now the cat is out of the bag. And I got a good education on that through leadership, Stephenville. You can't just decide you're going to build a road. You got to negotiate. You got to get the land. There's all kinds of pieces that go along with that. And sometimes it's really easy to get up and say, America, I'm going to build a loop around the loop. And maybe don't understand that you can't deliver on that promise, or to deliver on those promises might cause suffering in other areas. And so I'm happy you're here. And I'd like to ask you, not for a loop around the loop. I already know that is not happening anytime soon.
I know.
I have been schooled by the people at TxDOT. But if you say something long enough and often enough, it might come true, right? But can you explain what process you would use to determine which county roads are going to be prioritized for repair? We have a lot of roads and a lot of issues. How do we prioritize that? How would you prioritize that?
Well, I've already got a plan in my head, and I'm kind of set for some things that I wanted to do. You have to evaluate our roads from an A to an F, and I'm going to put a rating on every one of them from an A to an F in condition wise. Once I decide that, then I'll decide how much traffic is actually on that road. How much volume of traffic. There's only two things that destroy roads: it's mostly water and traffic counts, or cycles. We call them at TxDOT cycles. How many cycles it gets run over a day? The more traffic we have on them, the more you have to prioritize it in a different place, because there's more people traveling that volume of road. Even the condition may be bad, but there's only 2 cars a day pass it, so I can't work for that road, and I have to work for the mass of the people. I'm trying to fix the things that are going to affect the most lives. I tell people all the time, as far as things that go on in the courthouse, I'm going to say, looking at other offices, budgets and stuff, that's a consensus of 4 or 5 people looking at the problem and deciding if it's right or wrong. But as far as your roads, that's singularly the commissioner's business.
Okay.
And he is one that's going to affect most of your life, because you got to drive on that road every day to get to work or go home or whatever. So the best way to do it is prioritize them as condition wise, and then volume of traffic, and just give them a rating and say, we're going to work on the F's first, which I know we have some F's in here. I work there, so I see them. And we're going to work on those first, and we're going to leave them in an A condition. And when I say A condition, is we're going to widen it if it needs widening. We're going to top it. We're going to build it best we can. And then maybe we can leave it alone for a while and move to a D, and then go to D's and work on D roads, and then work our way down. That's the only way we can do it systematically and be fair, not just work on a friend of mine's road or someone else. I'm working for the populace, the most of us that are going to get affected by this condition, and that's the only way I can do it.
That's important to know. It's important to understand, and I think it factors also, like the town of Stephenville, and because Stephenville is growing, Erath County is growing, and so there's going to be a lot more demands, not just on the roads in your precinct that you're running for, but throughout the entire county. And so, can you talk a little bit about how some of your initiatives or some of the things that you've been considering with your experience in road construction and all the things that you've talked about? How will that help Erath County at large, not just Precinct 3?
Well, we have large growth in my little section of Precinct 3. We have a couple of housing developments, and they started out with 250 lots in them. And they've sold them all out in just 2 weekend sales. They sold 75% of them 1 week, and the other 25 the last week of the deal. And it affects commerce. If people I talked to a guy that worked, and he had a garage door business just the other day. It's just a coincidence. And he says, hey, driving on your roads, I can't carry a garage door on my rack on top of my truck because it tears up the door as he's going down the road. So that affects someone's commerce, someone's bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are important to me because, hey, they pay their taxes. They need adequate services that will. They don't have to tear up their truck. They don't have to tear up their materials. Just getting down our road to go do a job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty interesting to me to hear that story from a customer. Or I consider what we do in the county as a commissioner as a service business. And the service business is to provide a good service. And providing a good service is maintaining your roads where they're a critical part of our infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
They're the part that commerce travels on. If we don't have good roads, we're kind of defeating our purpose, and we're kind of getting behind because of the growth. And, I always give someone the same story. Would you rather work on the road when there's 100 cars or 1,000? So we wait till there's 1,000, and it's really hard to work on the road. If there's 100, you make 100 people mad, but you make 1,000 mad, it's a totally different animal. So I just wanted to relate that because it's simple. Best time to start a project, and I'll give these same scenarios. Best time to start a project is today, because it's not going to be cheaper tomorrow. It's never going to be cheap. It's not going to be easier with 1,000 customers on the road every day.
So one of the ways some of your initiatives helps Erath County at large is because it's going to provide greater access for commerce in and out and throughout the rest of the county, and allow for people in Precinct 3 to maintain their businesses and do greater business there as well as in the rest of Erath County.
Sure.
And I look around Erath County, and when I joined the chamber, when I first moved here, I was astounded at how many businesses this tiny little town, and Stephenville is not a tiny town. It's the county seat of Erath County. I mean, it's the seat of Erath County. But compared to other places I've lived, DC, Tampa, I mean, Pittsburgh, go 412. But other markets I've lived in, I'm astounded at how many small businesses are here, and not just here, but thriving in Erath County. And so I'd like to know, you talked about owning a small business. What did you learn as a small businessman that you think is going to help you make those sound budgetary, yes, and financial decisions for the county?
Usually it comes with experience. And I tell people this all the time. If you're going to stay in business, you have to provide a good service. But even though providing a good service, you have to be financially responsible for your means so you can do it again tomorrow. And the most important thing is, like, our county commissioners we have currently have put us seed money back from that are in contingency funds that we can use later on if we run into an emergency. The smartest thing you can do is always leave yourself some time behind. Leave you a little bit of contingency money to operate on. What gave me the experience level of understanding where good money is spent and where bad money is spent. If we need a fire truck, the fire commissioner, the fire chief comes and says, "Hey man, we need a new 700,000 pumper truck and we got to have it." Is there a real need for it, or is it just a want? And the difference in knowing a want and a need, it's easy when you can say, well, what's wrong with the one we have? Give me the reasons why the one we have is not efficient or not working or doing whatever. So then that gives you the level of, hey, that's good money spent there, or that's bad money spent. We really don't need to spend it now. So experience in life is just being physically responsible, being able to make sound judgment calls. And those are sound judgment calls where you have to go, man, do we really have $700,000 to put into it now? Or is it going to be $1 million next time we look at it? So what is smart now to do? And being in business for yourself, you have to go, what is smart for us today that will keep us going till tomorrow? And so that's what I learned from being in business and just being a good customers oriented person. You have to have the intentions and the good intentions for the person you're working for. Every time you set out to do a job or set out to do something, you have to have good intentions to do a quality job and, spend the money and get them the best value for their dollar. And I consider what we do as stewards, I'm just watching your money. I'm not, the arbinger of finance. I just want to watch your dollar spend it as wisely as we can, and get the best value we can for it. And that's what comes from experience of being in self-employed. Because I'll give the same scenario. I was always unemployed until someone rang my phone, and then I was reemployed. So I'd say every night I go to bed, I'd say, Lord, just have someone call me, and then I have another day. I can go forward with my next day. So if you don't have a good customer service, you're not going to get those calls back. You're not going to get someone to come back to you again. So.
And I think it's refreshing for me. It's refreshing for me as somebody who has worked in government for a number of years, retired from the Air Force after 23 years, and then is now in business for myself. It is refreshing for me to hear you talk about your constituents as customers and that customer-driven focus. I see more of it in Erath County than I've seen in any other place I've lived, to be honest. But that customer-driven focus, I think, causes lawmakers, elected officials to really think differently about how they execute the duties of the office that they're in, because now it's not just how do we keep ourselves in office, but it's like, how do we do good for this community? When you go to HEB, how do you know that every person that comes in that looks you in the eye and has a hey, you didn't fix my road, how do you look them in the eye and know that you still serve them the best way that you can?
That's
and that's what I hear when they're coming.
Truly, that's the only thing I kind of giggle and laugh about it. Because people think, oh, you're going to make all that money. Like, it's not a money deal. It's not about the money. It's not about the title. It's not about these things. I'm running because I think my opponents. I'm not putting any shade on anybody.
Right.
But I think my skill level and what their skill level is, of what it really takes to be responsible and understand how to run a crew, how to handle finances, how to build a road, how to maintain a road, how to be responsible to the judge and the other commissioners and go, hey man, I think this is a bad idea or a good idea. I think that is your responsibility to your public. And I tell people all the time, I am your watchdog. I'm the guy that goes down there. You don't want to sit through court and listen to grown men argue. I would rather be there and be the watchdog that says, I think I'm confident enough, and I know I am fair and level-headed enough to go, that's a great idea. I'm all aboard. Or that's a terrible idea, and I'm not going to go for it. So that's what we have to do. Because I think it's only right that you put your wants and desires above. You don't put those above your constituents and your people that are here. Your desires and what you want are secondary all the time to your public, to your people that you serve.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I have some submitted questions.
Okay.
And the first one we kind of covered already, but I want to mention it just to make sure people's voices are heard. Does he currently have a list of bad roads to start the day one?
Oh yeah.
It sounds like
I've been carrying this book, and as I go around and drive our roads, I'll rate them, and I've been rating roads. I don't want to give out any road numbers because I don't want people thinking he didn't even mention my road. But trust me, as I come to them, I rate them, and I've been looking at a lot of F's that I don't like, that are going to be emergency. We have to stop what we're doing day 2 or day 1 after we get sworn in, and say we're going to evaluate and make a plan to repair these roads and get after them. And they're in here. I'm not going to leave anybody out. If we can physically do it, financially do it, we're going to be doing it. We're not going to be waiting. We're not going to wait until they fall into disarray.
Well, while I'm giving people an opportunity, so if you're listening live and you want to ask a question that you didn't know I was going to interview him, go ahead and drop it in the chat. But I do have one other prepared question for you, and that is, Does he plan to spot check his supervisors during the day to verify the jobs that are being done right and not taking too long to complete? And that's a mouthful. As a former supervisor in the Air Force, I know that there's only so much you can do, but when you have good policies in place and you build a strong team,
Yeah.
you can make a lot of things happen that other people didn't think. So how would you like to answer that question?
My answer is that I won't need to check on them and supervise and understand, because I'll be there.
Okay.
I'll be on the job with them every day. Most, I'm not saying every commissioner, I'm just saying some commissioners, in the way that they rely solely on their crew chief to supervise their employees, and which I will too at a certain extent. But I will be one of the ones that they can supervise also. If you need me to do this, hey, Sherman, we need you today to do this. And if there's something I can do every day, in which I run every piece of equipment out there, we can run any of them. Whatever we fall short of or we need that day, I'm the fill-in. I'm the guy I'm the gopher. I'm the fill-in. I'll make the other half of the crew or whatever part of the crew that they need. And so it won't be wondering what took so long, because I'll be there. I'll know what took so long. I'll be on the job. So if you come by, you'll probably see me on the job. You just drive by. Well, Sherman's he's running this today. I'm there. I won't mail it in. I will not divide my time. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to throw shade at any other person running, but I don't have any other business I'm going to run. This will be my only business. My competitors, they have to run their businesses to a certain degree, and they're going to have to divide their time, which I won't. I won't divide my time. This will be my sole endeavor.
And that speaks really well, because you have managed your money, time, and effort and energy up to this point to have that flexibility and freedom of time and space to be able to give your whole heart and attention and mind to this service, to our county. Oh, there was something that came to my mind that I was going to say as you were talking about me. It's like, oh, I remember now. And in the military, we call that management by walking around. Apparently, President Lincoln made that famous, management by walking around. I'm not just getting in your chili and telling you how to do your job, but I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to facilitate. I'm here to equip you with resources, whatever you need, crew chief, whatever you need, foreman, to get the job done. I'll be there. And because you see me enough, you can trust me to not just check a box, but I'm here for you. So when I hear that, I think, okay, that I can see that for sure. All right. Now let me ask you this. We are at about 25 minutes, so I know we're going to round it up now. If resources were available, okay, if it was there, what additional services, county services, would you feel are most needed here in Erath County?
I'll sit down and talk with the judge about it a little bit, and we've sit there and looked at it several different ways, and I think more than anything is probably EMS. Our emergency management systems are from us to get to someone from our office here to farthest side of Huckabee, or I'll just give Mountain Lakes. It takes you 20 minutes to get to Mountain Lakes, and then it takes you another 15 or 20 minutes to get into the back of that thing.
Oh, wow.
And so we're almost going to have to equip some satellite stations that can be manned and kept manned and staffed, on a 24-hour basis. And we're just going to have to do it. And, I mean, I tell people all the time, when I was, at TxDOT, sometimes you'd hear the horror stories of, what happened to someone. And was there any way we could prevent this accident? Is there anything we can do? We can't skimp on emergency management systems and stuff like that, because, seconds count. And
that's right.
More than anything is, if we're at the Huckabee, you got to, we really need to decide with the population growth and some of our aged people that live here, they're going to need these emergency services. They're going to be rural. And so we have to prepare for that, and we're going to have to spend money there. And I have no fear of telling them, I'm not going to say limitless, endless amounts of budget or whatever. but we've got to make a commitment to that and,
Mm-hmm.
and work towards that more than anything. I think that's we have enough, volunteer fire departments around, which we probably need to fund them a little bit better too, to help them out, because it's expensive to run a fire station and run even volunteers, fuel, equipment upkeep and stuff like that. Fire is second on the list, but I think EMS is paramount right now, the most important thing. I really do believe the sheriff's department is staffed well and have enough officers in the county on duty to provide a good service. And like I said, all the volunteer firemen that are in the county, we have several volunteer fire departments all around there, do a wonderful job. And I don't see how they do it with the little funds that we give them anyway. But
especially with all the recent fires we've had.
And they're just humongous fires. They're not just like, hey, let's put out a little grass fire. They burn up. And so EMS is probably the most important. It'll be the first thing that would, if there was a budgetary deal to set aside more money for them, that'd be pretty important. That's pretty high on the list.
You make a good case. I guess just living in town, I drive to other places. I don't think I really put together how long it takes to get to certain places. Everybody needs accessibility to these services. And so that's super important. Now, everybody knows Conway Financial Group. I help people dump debt and build wealth and be able to create time and space and freedom in their lives. And so as the money lady, or as someone dubbed me a couple years ago, the queen of cash flow, I always like to ask money questions. So I'm going to ask this last question and I'm going to let you give some parting words. But what is your experience with preparing or authorizing those budgets?
Well, when I worked at TxDOT, I was an inspector, so we watch budgets, and we would always build an Excel spreadsheet and work our way backwards. We know how much money we have to spend, and we'd work ourselves to zero. And then, if we got all we wanted to accomplish, we would. If we couldn't, we just sometimes. But budgetary deals like that are more important. Is that you pay accurately, you keep good records. And so that everybody knows where you spent the money and why you spent the money. And, and so more than anything, my experience of that is just being held accountable for every dollar that's spent and being able to go, we spent it on this. Here's the records. Here's everything we spent on it. This is how much it costs. Maybe we can get a better deal next time. I don't know. We have to evaluate all these jobs that we do. And as being a county commissioner, I think that I can look into the future and see the needs that we need, set aside budgetary money for them, because I give this quick scenario, and it doesn't take but a second to give this quick scenario. We have, probably 75% of our roads are paved. Are dirt roads, and we just blade them with a blade, put a little gravel on, the rain comes along, wash them away, and we do it again. So it's just, we need to get away from that and do as much top the road with seal coat and asphalt, chip seal it, so that we spend it one time. We seal the road, weatherproof it. That's what you're doing when you're sealing it. You're putting a weatherproof topping on it, so that we're not just pouring money out, just going what. Okay, but I know in 10 years from now or 5 years from now, we have 4 blades that cost $300,000 a piece, more than $300,000 a piece. There'll be less need for them, but there'll be other needs that we'll have to be planning for. So we just can't look at, hey, what we got today. We still have to look ahead for budgetary deals. So that's just Sherman just giving a quick synopsis of what you have to be prepared to do as being a county commissioner. Buy the best equipment you can at the least dollar. I'm very capable of understanding what equipment's functionality is and what its need is and why we need it. There's no doubt that I understand every concept of how to build a road and what the equipment it takes to build it with. Just be prepared for the future, and the way Erath County's growing, people are going to ask for more than a dirt road. They're going to require us to do more than a dirt road. So in the future, I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight. But you have to be prepared for the future. you play the long game and look way out in front of you and see
Right.
what's in front of you and decide we got to be prepared for when this happens. We got to be prepared for 1,000 cars a day instead of 100 cars a day. So that's Sherman.
I appreciate that, because after the election, I would love to have you come back and talk about this growth that the city is projected to have. And I listened at the state of the city, state of city, and then also the state of the county, that they had the Chamber of Commerce sponsor those 2 events, those 2 lunches. And one of the things that I took away is we have so many more needs than we have in sales tax income to do, and also property tax income to do something with them. And then you have more growth coming, which is bringing an influx of cash, right? But there's more needs. And so I would love in the future, we don't have to cover it all today, but I'm just putting that bug out there to really kind of look at, okay, well, how do we manage this growth? Because the growth is coming. And we want this county, we want the cities that are in the county, we want the citizens that are in the county to thrive along with the growth. Not despite or in spite of the growth. Does that make sense?
Correct.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Do you have any last words that you want to say to our audience before we close out?
I truly believe that I was led to this job by God, and that I am the best candidate for this job. Just from my experience level of working, handling budgets, handling my own finances, handling my business finances, understanding the nature of roads and conditions and things like that. That's all I've ever done. So for me, it was easy. And I tell a friend of mine, sometimes I'll be standing up and talking to people and I'll just get faster and faster and faster because I have a passion to do this thing. It's not that this is one of those deals that I feel like I'm called to do. And I don't want to candy coat it or anybody. It's going to be a hard job. I think to do it properly, you're going to have to probably spend 60 hours a week doing this. It won't be a mail-in job. It won't be easy to do. And I'm prepared for any challenges that come up. And hey, that's just life. And when I was in my own service business, you never knew what you were going to do from one second to the next. So you have to be able to be nimble enough to go, okay, we're doing this, but we got to do that. And so it's easy for me to be flexible enough to do multitask many things at the same time. So I just want to say I appreciate all my people that are supporting me, all the people that are behind me, everybody that's looked at me and decided, yay or nay. I just want to say that we are the purpose for us being in this race is to serve you. There's no other reason for me to be in this race. I don't do it for the money. I don't do it for any praises or anything. It's just to do the best job that I think God put me on this earth to do. So I just want to thank y'all for your support.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. And on behalf of everybody, Building Wealth Together, which is now being rebranded as Ladies of Wealth, I want to thank you for being here. That's right. The ladies, to let you know, especially in Erath County, the men might make the bacon, but the ladies fry it up. So we did a little transition in my business. But I want to thank you all for being here and being with us today. Go out and take a look at the Facebook page. I'm gonna link it. I wasn't able to link it while we were doing this live. But I'm going to go ahead and link his Facebook page. You can go check out some of the issues that he's been discussing, and you can also learn more about Mr. Sherman and Candidate Sherman Edwards. Thanks again for being here. Y'all take care and be blessed.
All right. Well, that's fun. That's fun.